Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's common for a lot of people to be moving in and out of Canada for a variety of reasons, whether it's for work-related reasons, or studying in university, or simply a newcomer immigrating into Canada. Whether they're coming in or going out frequently during the taxation year, or simply just one time in the taxation year, then it's really important to determine the correct residency status, as there can be some significant tax consequences. That's because a resident of Canada is taxed on their worldwide income, and they're given tax credits for foreign taxes paid, while a non-resident of Canada is taxed only on their Canadian-sourced income, and they're not eligible for most federal tax credits. So depending on one's situation, a lot can be at stake if the wrong residency status is determined. Now, determining one's residency status is not a one-size-fits-all formula. There is some subjectivity to it. However, essentially, if one were to consider themselves as a non-resident of Canada, then they really need to show that they have ceased residential ties with Canada. And in order to help do that, CRA has provided a set of guidelines. And these guidelines first start off with what they call as primary residential ties. Primary residential ties first look at a dwelling place in Canada. It will likely be hard to argue that one is a non-resident of Canada while they still maintain a dwelling place in Canada that is not used for investment purposes. Primary residential ties also look at the location of a spouse and/or dependent. And again, it will likely be hard to argue that one is a non-resident of Canada if their spouse and/or dependent still remain in Canada. If one were not able to determine the residency status by looking at the primary residential ties, the CRA then provides what they call the secondary residential ties. Secondary residential ties consider things such as social ties to Canada, such as maintaining a club membership in Canada, and economic ties to Canada, such as being active in a business in Canada, maintaining Canadian bank accounts, or registered savings plans, and also personal property remaining in Canada. Now again, these are just a guideline provided by the CRA. It is not the law. So it does not mean that if one holds a Canadian bank account that they're automatically considered as a resident of Canada. It is only that CRA looks at a comprehensive picture, and they consider both the primary and secondary residential ties. Now, if one were to determine their residency status and there is a change in the middle of the taxation year, then that date of change really needs to be taken note of, as effectively it'll serve as the cutoff point of when, for example, worldwide income is no longer taxed and only Canadian source income is taxed, or vice versa. However, if one were unable to determine their residency status after considering both primary and secondary residential ties, then we would highly recommend to take the conservative approach so that it lowers the tax risk. Lastly, even if one were to successfully determine their residency status in Canada, and they are considered as a non-resident of Canada, but they still physically come to Canada at least 183 days in the year, then CRA will consider them as what they call deemed residents of Canada, with the same tax consequences as factual residents of Canada. So if an executive of a Canadian company who lives in the US but travels frequently to Canada for work, then they really need to keep tabs on the days that they come to Canada so that they're not considered as a deemed resident of Canada. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye for now.